Good Friday morning, a feel-good football Friday, a Black Friday 2022 after Thanksgiving yesterday. Hope you had a wonderful day with your families. Three entertaining games. It started off with a very fun game between the Bills and Lions on CBS. It comes down to a last-second field goal. You get the Giants and the Cowboys that we're going to talk about a lot today, where the Giants were hanging in there in the first half, but just really couldn't overcome some of the issues that they had with injuries, especially in the secondary. And now they've got their first losing streak of the year. And then you had the Vikings and the Patriots play a great game last night. Back and forth, and then the Vikings end up pulling that out and bouncing back from that beatdown that they had at the hands of the Cowboys. But this is now who meets the meat, or hits the road. This is nut cutting time for the Giants because it's either wheels come off or wheels take them to the playoffs. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, what are we doing here today? Come on!
What do you mean, what are we doing?
I mean, I had to work yesterday. I'm driving all over the freaking tri-state area and everything else. Man, I barely got out of bed this morning. I was exhausted.
You and me both. Yep.
I think my body said to me, look, you never work the Friday after Thanksgiving. You never work the Friday after Thanksgiving. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I said, well, I had to tell myself. My partner said, we got to come in here today because of the Giant game. And I'm glad we're here because of a couple things. Number one, it is the Giant game and what happened. Number two is what happened with Zach Wilson after we left the air on Wednesday.
That is correct. Yep.
And there's a lot of things to talk about without question. I thought the Giants gave you a valiant effort yesterday, and I got a chance to listen to Carl Banks and Bob Papa for a good portion of this game sitting in traffic.
Okay.
And they were right on it early on about how they had to be totally perfect. They couldn't make any mistakes. I don't know if this. First of all, I'm listening to this and I'm like, who is that? What team is this?
I know. Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't really know half of the players they were even talking about.
Well, the fact that, you don't have Kenny Golladay, you don't have Wan'Dale Robinson or Golladay making any sort of impact. Kadarius Toney is gone. Daniel Bellinger isn't around. I mean, yeah, it's Darius Slayton and Daniel Jones, merry men.
And the entire offensive line, I felt like, was 4 out of the 5 guys were different guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing listening to them because just hearing the names that you would not normally hear was kind of startling. And then to find out, then to have them leading at halftime was amazing. And we could sit here and break all of this down and we could talk about this bad call, that bad call. All I could tell you is that, the Giants really didn't have a chance. I don't think many people gave them a chance to win this game yesterday. It was just kind of get out of the game alive and feel like, okay, now the rest of the season is coming. And the problem with the rest of the season, as we have been saying here for the last couple of weeks, is that they have the hardest schedule remaining in the NFL.
That's right. Now, I did give them a chance. I didn't think they'd win the game. I thought they'd keep it close. I thought they'd cover. There was a backdoor cover there. There was a backdoor cover at the end of the game, of course.
Maher can't just kick a field goal.
He cannot just kick a field goal.
Almighty.
Well, I also had, so I had the Giants covering, but I also had the under, so that last-second touchdown hurt the under, so it was a sort of a split situation. But, at 13-7 with the way that they were playing, and Saquon Barkley didn't do much on the ground, I was thinking they're going to come out in the second half. They could continue to play this defense. Maybe they turn over Dak Prescott again, and then Saquon's going to run the ball on him because that's been a vulnerability of the Cowboys. Maybe they can do it, but the problem, bigger than that offensive line issue that they had, is the secondary. I mean, 3/4 of the secondary is out.
And those guys didn't play bad. I mean, I had a couple penalties and everything, but
eventually it was going to crack, and CeeDee Lamb was wide open. They would just go bang, bang, bang. I mean, they were even talking about it on the broadcast. Like, eventually, you got to do something different as opposed to putting your nickel corner one-on-one with CeeDee Lamb in the middle of the field, especially if the guys that Wink Martindale's blitzing aren't getting to Dak Prescott.
Right. So, this is the conundrum that all coaches end up having. Like, what do? Do you change who you are, or do you continue to play the way that you have been coaching them since day one, since you got here, or do you kind of change things and do something different? I don't know what would have been different had they not tried the blitz.
Yeah,
I mean, it could have been worse. I guess. I mean, the point being is that most teams in the league. and this happened to the Bills yesterday. The Bills are missing their two best pass rushers, Von Miller, who got hurt yesterday early in the game, and Greg Rousseau, who has the ankle injury, and he still isn't back from that. So now all of a sudden they lose their effectiveness overall as a defense because they lose their pass rushers. The Giants really don't have anybody. This Kayvon Thibodeau, he was.
That was the best game he played all year.
Yeah, I thought he played good, but it's not enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough, and he didn't really get there. It's not like he had sacks like Micah Parsons had sacks, but it was the most pressures he had put on a quarterback the entire year. He was actually impacting the game for the first time and getting some props from the broadcast as well because, he hadn't really done anything. He made one play prior to yesterday. So, yeah, it wasn't enough. And I think that, as we talk about football and important things on defense, getting the quarterback, and then obviously corners on wide receivers in today's wide open passing game. And if you have, the Giants, what was successful for them is they could trust that secondary when they were out there on islands because they had really good players out there. Now, when you're missing 3 of those 4 players and you're not getting to the quarterback, that's a big issue. Yeah, so now your passing defense is completely different.
And one of those 4 players, because of a quad injury, and I'm not talking about his quad, I'm talking about he's riding a quad during the break, and really has shown itself these last 3 games.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And that Giants fans were frustrated at the time, and that has certainly bared out. Losing Xavier McKinney, who was playing great for them. And that's if the Giants were to continue on this track and make the playoffs, which they still may, but it's going to be very difficult. It was going to have to be the defense and running the football. And they didn't do either one of those things well in the second half yesterday, and that's what cost them the game. And I guess when you're really not afraid of anybody, you're not necessarily afraid of the quarterback, you're not afraid of Darius Slayton, that you can stop the run easier. And the Giants need to have Saquon Barkley carry them, and it needs to start with him. And if he ends the game with 40 yards rushing or wherever it was, 38 yesterday, they got no shot on offense.
Backups. And ultimately, Detroit was playing with 2 backups too internally, and one of those backups was just getting housed all day long. And it's just amazing how, if they have to be totally helped. First of all, because of a new coach, a new way of doing things, and some really good young players on this roster, they need all those players on deck. They all have to be there. And if they're not there, I felt bad for Daniel Jones yesterday. I thought he played a really good game. I thought he was physical. I thought he was getting rid of the ball. I didn't see any nervousness. I saw what I thought was, an NFL quarterback trying to lead a decimated team to victory.
Sure.
That's kind of the feeling that I got. There could be little arguments here and there about a throw here or a throw there, but my God, he doesn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown running around. Yeah. He doesn't have Steph Diggs running around out there. He's got a bunch of players that, I'm sure he likes and I'm sure he loves playing with, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot of firepower.
Yeah, and then projecting forward, when you've got the Eagles twice, you've got the Commanders twice. The Commanders' defense is the strength of that team. And then you throw the Vikings and you throw the Colts in there. Hey, can the Giants, is 9 wins going to get the Giants into the playoffs, and are they capable of winning 2 more games?
Can they get the 9 wins?
Well, that's the thing. So, yeah, that's the other part of it. Will 9 wins get it done, and can they get to 9 wins? The way they're going to have to get to 9 wins, in my opinion, has to start this week, because if you break it all down, the Commanders are playing much better. But you got to win this game at home against Washington. You have to, because if you don't, then you're talking about the Eagles, who have been damn good this year, as we know. You're going to Washington. They're coming off a bye that week. You've got to go up to Minnesota, who's hot and cold. And then we'll see what the Colts are in a couple of weeks. And maybe the Eagles don't need the game. Maybe they've got the 1 seed wrapped up on Week 18, and they're not
going to want to have like a double bye. I think they would play their main guys. I would think at
maybe
least
for 3 quarters or something.
A quarter or 3 halves. 3 quarters or a half. The other thing too, looking at their schedule, they had won 4 in a row. They lost at the Seahawks. They come home, they beat the Texans. Wasn't a great game, but they beat them.
Yeah.
That Lion game to me is going to be the one that sticks out like a sore thumb, because that was the game that they had to win. They had to win that game, I think.
Yeah.
This schedule going forward, and if they're not healthy, it's just going to be tough sledding all the way. And it's been a great year. It's been a great story thus far, but losing 3 out of the last 4 is really tough to swallow. And I'm not blaming. There's not one person I can sit here and blame yesterday other than father injury.
Yeah.
Because they were a shell of themselves. And, they're already a shell of a team when you think about it in certain areas prior to all these injuries.
Yeah, but they still came out and played great in the first half. I mean, they had a 6-point lead at halftime, and I really thought that was going to continue in the second half, and the wheels certainly came off. But you're right about the Lion game. The fact that, they could have been 8-2 going into this game, a game up on Dallas, and then this would have been a situation where, all right, if you lose the game to Dallas, you're still tied with Dallas, even though they beat you twice, so they'll have the tiebreaker there, and you're still just trying to find a way to get 2 more wins on the schedule at that point to get to 10 wins, which you would think would be good enough in the NFC. Now you're sitting here at 7-4, and things feel completely different, and you've got a losing streak going on, and the team that we looked at in the early portion of the year and the Commanders that might have been a pushover are no longer that.
No, they're on the other side of it. They're getting healthy.
Yeah, right.
And, we always say it's not who you play, it's when you play them. What kind of condition is that team? And, if you would have played the Cowboys maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, a little bit different of an outcome maybe. But as Carl Banks was saying yesterday, in order to beat this team today, the New York Giants are going to have to play an almost perfect game. And, it starts out with a illegal man downfield on a touchdown. Yeah. And, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Of all the penalties to have happen,
sure,
you get the turnover, or actually you get the turnover on downs. Mm-hmm. Mike McCarthy showing no respect whatsoever to the Giants. And the Giants go right down the field. They score a touchdown, and it gets called back.
Yeah, speaking of turnover on downs, I did like it when Brian Daboll went for that 4th and 2 on their side of the field.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I did like it because I like the aggressiveness, but the fact that he didn't execute there was that basically, it felt like the game was totally swinging.
But this was the throw to Saquon
Barkley, yeah.
So this one's on Daniel Jones. And, Daniel Jones has got to make that throw. He's got nobody around him. He may negotiate, I think, maybe a defensive end. I'm not sure.
Yeah, someone was in his face, yeah.
But to me, that's the throw you have to make. If you want to win the game, you talk about playing pristine and you have an opportunity.
Well, actually,
you can't throw it behind him there.
He did have more time than I thought.
It's an easy completion. And it's kind of interesting. Jared Goff did the same thing against the Bills. He had DJ Chark to win the game going down the right sideline. And I don't know where he threw the ball. Threw the ball, like 5 yards behind him and out of bounds. And I'm like, that's the game right there. You have an opportunity. So on the other side, Josh Allen steps up and rifles a missile right down the middle of the field to Stephon Diggs to take his team right down the field. And that was a throw that was just like that. That was the throw that was made. That's why Josh Allen is thought to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, because you can make a throw like that. And unfortunately for Daniel Jones yesterday, even though that may not have won the game for them, that's exactly what happened. That's where all of a sudden momentum changes.
Yeah.
And it takes one play here or one play there. And that's a play that Daniel Jones has got to make, man. He's just got to make that play. That, like we talked about Zach Wilson last week. There were plays to be made, and he was driving the ball either into the ground or throwing it over people's heads. This is a throw that Daniel Jones probably didn't get much sleep on last night, because he'll be thinking about it. That's a moment in time in a game where just execute a play that you probably have thrown 10,000 times in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
a back in the flat. It doesn't get much easier than that. And he yipped it.
Yeah, he certainly did yip it. And you're right, we have seen a lot of that with Zach Wilson. But the combination of the Cowboys getting the ball, that long, methodical drive to a touchdown to make it 14-13, and then that turnover on downs to give him the short field there was the game. That was it. Right there, coming out in the second half, 6-point lead, then all of a sudden evaporates into an 8-point deficit for the Giants, and it just didn't stop at that point. It didn't stop. And then, Micah Parsons, he didn't play great in the Green Bay game, in the comeback, where the Packers came back against the Cowboys.
Last 2 games.
The last 2 games, he has torn the football game up.
Yes.
Completely torn it up. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau had a good game for him. He's not Micah Parsons yet. Hopefully he is. But having a guy like that, it increases your chances of going deep into the playoffs. I mean, that's why the Rams went out and got Von Miller last year. That's why the Bills went out and got Von Miller this year. That's why Bradley Chubb was traded to the Miami Dolphins. Game wreckers like that make such a difference in today's NFL. They always have, but even more so now when you're trying to neutralize a great quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, that guy's as good as it gets. I know it's an obvious one, but I just had to point it out again because he is so freaking fast. When he gets going, man, it's just a freight train. It's a freight train.
Yeah, he is, and he's arms and legs, man. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
And he plays different positions. That's the thing. He's all over the defense, and you got to find him when you get up there, especially when you have a pass play on, because you got to know exactly who the hell is responsible for him. Because if somehow, some way, your running back is going to get up and try to block that guy, it's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, and Andrew Thomas, that's the thing about a left tackle. That's Andrew Thomas won some battles against him throughout the day.
All it takes is one loss or two losses at the wrong time.
Exactly. And then you're thinking, oh, man, he's beating up Andrew Thomas. It's
That's why guys like Lawrence Taylor and Bruce Smith and Reggie White and guys like that were all Hall of Famers, because every time they step on the field, you got to know where they are. And if you don't know where they are, or somehow they put him in a configuration where he has a mismatch of somebody trying to block him, he ends up, getting to you and ends up ruining the game, either forcing an interception, a sack, forcing a punt. There's a million things that they can do.
Yeah.
And that son of a gun is all over the field.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.